Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Melbourne Traditionalists episode 82. And this week I have been discombobulated. It has just been a very black-pilling week, and it has primarily been because of our side or normies. So the left have just been in the background, as they always are, but this week I'm not primarily complaining about them. I've been at this, last Thursday, so what's that, 4 days ago, was the 8th birthday of Upon Hope. So I've been actively involved in this for 8 years, and I look around at what has been achieved, and it's not as much as I would have hoped by a long way. And I must say the constant returning to old mistakes is just, it's really doing my head in. About a week ago, I was involved in a discussion. Some of it was heated, some of it wasn't, about some groups in Melbourne who went on a camping trip to the Grampians, which is a national park. And there they took some provocative photographs of themselves. And some people have said, "Oh, this is outrageous. They can't do this." They've made all the news shows. They've made the headline of the front page of different newspapers. The left's really spinning out. The left is, again, to use that word, an underutilized word, discombobulated. They have really been in a fizzy over this. But then there are people on our side who are also in a fizzy. "Oh, these people can't do this. They can't believe what they believe. They can't blah, 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 blah. They're not allowed to." And it's like, hold on. Why are we doing the policing for the left? On the left, they never, ever pull in their crazies. No one ever has to denounce Stalin. No one ever has to say, "Oh, communism was bad." No, they're allowed to continue doing whatever it is that they're doing. They're never called to question. And in fact, liberals are never told that they must denounce multiculturalism. They never have to denounce mass immigration. They never have to denounce white genocide. Never. No, it's only people on our side who have to denounce each other. And do I think that these photos should have been taken? Probably not. But actually, at the same time, I think to myself, is it really a bad thing to discombobulate the left and liberalism? Is that really a bad thing? I'm not convinced it is a bad thing, even though I probably wouldn't have done it, which is why I'm not actively involved in this group. But they did. And we shouldn't be throwing them under the bus. You know what we should do on our side? We should just shut up. If someone on our side does something wrong, or they do something bad, or they do something stupid, we should not be denouncing them. We should not be distancing ourselves from them. We should not be saying, "Oh, these people don't have the right to their opinion." What we should be saying is nothing. Absolutely nothing. Just complete and utter silence. And I take this as a lesson that the left has taught me. That this is how the left does it. If someone on their side is crazy, they don't rein them in. They let them do what they do. And everything is behind the scenes. Nothing is public. They don't denounce people in public. They don't do any of that kind of stuff. And when they need to, everything is, as I said, in the background. It's never public. That's what we need to do. We need to learn to utilize our crazies, whether they're intellectually or emotionally or politically crazy, just like the left does. That's what the left does. They're right. They're winning. We should follow their strategy because they're winning. And we also should not be out there trying to police our own side. Sure, there are differences, and some of those differences are very pronounced. All right, and in an ideal world, we'd associate with the people who only agreed with us all the time. Although I'm thinking to myself, hey, is there such a being? Because I look at the traditionalist side and I notice that everyone seems to have one or two things that I just think, why am I putting up with that? Why do I associate with these people? They're not bad people. They're not stupid people. They're not immoral people. But it's a question of how much should you tolerate. And it's been as I said, it's been a very hard week because it's been a case of I have to tolerate things that I really don't want to tolerate. But at the same time, if you don't tolerate things, then you're not going to get anywhere. So, that has been a big issue. And, I've been involved with a cultural festival for a number of years that I've basically been one of the chief organisers of, and that was delayed again because people are scared, and this fear, this always trying to play it safe, it's really getting to me. If we're not prepared to take risks, I'm not talking about storming the parliament. I'm talking about holding a cultural festival, and people are like, and there's always a reason not to do things. And it's something we really have to defeat. We have to smash to pieces. If we're not prepared to do stuff, then why are we doing anything? Because we can't get anywhere. We really have to be a bit braver, to be honest, a lot braver, because the things that we're trying to do are not scary. Holding a cultural festival, it's not a scary thing. But of course, one of the problems with holding a festival or trying to organise groups is you need people. And not only do you need people, but you need active people. People who are actually going to put their hand up and say, hey, I'll do this job. And what people on the right like to do is they like to say, hey, I've got an idea. Well, an idea is not an activity. And everyone has ideas, and sometimes they're good, and sometimes they're bad, and sometimes they'll be good in 4 years, but today they're not, and so forth. But what we need all the time are people to be active. And, when you're organising something like a cultural festival, you need people just to do that background work, Hey, can you organise volunteers? Can you commit to being a volunteer? Can you send out emails? Can you be in charge of the caterers, or whatever it is? It's actually doing stuff, and it's exactly the same problem that we have in our political life. Is that so many people aren't prepared to just do something, just put their hand up and say, yeah, I'll do something. And then I had a incident on Facebook where a woman who I don't go out looking for friends on Facebook. People send me friend requests and then I decide. And this woman seemed all right, and she'd been friends for a couple of months, and then she put up this post this week about anyone who notices race is a racist, and I just went, that's just ridiculous. Race is real. And so her and a group of people, it wasn't coordinated, but, a group of people came on and went, oh, you're a nasty person and blah, 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 blah. And it was obvious from the tone that there was no helping these people, that this was really what they thought, that they weren't on my side. They weren't even on their own side. That they were truly race neutral in a world that is leaving that lie behind. And of course, who does that help? Well, it helps the left. Always. It helps liberalism, it helps the left, and it doesn't help us, and it doesn't help reality. And actually, in the long term, it doesn't help them either. But I'm like, it's 2021. How stupid do you have to be? Well, obviously, there's a lot of stupid out there. And then I went to a dinner, a formal dinner, and the dinner was quite nice. But there were two small things that happened. One wasn't that small. Was at the start of the dinner, someone got up and gave a welcome to country. We acknowledge the traditional owners of the land, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, how the fuck can this be going on? Over the last decade, this welcome to country nonsense has just exploded all over the place. And ordinary people should stand up and say, no, I'm not putting up with it. They should walk out, which I actually did at the dinner. I walked out until it was over, and then I came back, the welcome to country. They should turn their backs. They should do something. But instead, it seems that all over the place, everyone has just become spineless. Everyone is just prepared to put up with whatever. And I tell you, it's it's that black pill. How far have we fallen, and how far do we have to keep falling? And why is it that people won't stand up? Why is it that these people were mostly sympathetic to our cause? And, they might not be 100% on board, but, they're probably more than 50. Some of them aren't, but most, I would say, would be. And they just sat there. They just took it. Just like everywhere. Just like everywhere that I've heard this rubbish spoken, people just sit there. And then I was sitting there, and someone was talking about COVID, and I just said, well, it's nonsense. All of this is overplayed. And they were like, oh, no. And you could see that they were disturbed that I had, questioned the orthodoxy of the age. And so the conversation died very quickly. And again, these people aren't bad people. They're not stupid people or anything like that. But, just ordinary people have taken on these lies. And I start to think to myself, am I the one who's crazy? Again, I'm coming back to this, and I thought this was over. I thought this idea that am I the last sane person on earth was over. But actually, no, now it's starting to come back, because the world is just getting crazier and crazier. And things that are so blatantly obvious lies are accepted. And then you're told that you have to accept it, that you have to endorse it. And then I say, well, no, I'm not going to. But who's going to stand with me? I again, feel like I did 5 years ago that, it's every man for himself. Every man's got to put up with his own persecution. And it is becoming... it is about persecution. You can't say what your real opinion is at your job or at school. You can't say it on social media. Increasingly, again, we're coming to a point where we're all by ourselves. Well, I've also been noticing the news a bit more this week, and the news from the Biden administration, the resident Biden, is all bad. It's all disturbing. And I'm a little bit upset at myself, because obviously I know that this is how it's going to be, and that this administration was going to be particularly bad. But at the same time, I'm like, oh no, they really are doing this. They really are are pushing their agenda, which of course they're going to. I mean, it's idiocy of me to think otherwise. But for some reason, I guess it's just a combination of all these things together. And you can't even hate Biden, because you listen to him talk and you're like, oh my God, you should not. How did you get here? How do you have any responsibility? I mean, every politician misspeaks. Because they talk so much. That's part of their job. They have to talk. So they say a lot of things, and sometimes it's nonsensical, and sometimes it's contradictory, and sometimes it's, just stupid. But mostly they're clear speakers. And Joe Biden is, you're starting to think, well, this is not just a speech problem. This is a cognitive problem. This is an intellectual problem. Well, I guess America really is declining. And where does that put us? Where does that put the world? Where does that put Australia? We are definitely in China's sights. Things are bad with China and Australia. And actually, I think they're going to get worse, because they are pushing us, and it's the one area where I can say, hey, the old Australia is actually there. It's apparent, it's obvious, because the more that they lie to us, the more we say, no, we're not accepting your lies. And I just hope that is actually transformed into some kind of policy to limit their power within Australia. Whether that will happen or not is another issue. But how far we will get if America is in decline. America seems hell-bent, actually every country in the West does, on its own demise. So that's all very depressing. But then I also have you've all heard me say this before, I have this issue with YouTube. Now, explain this. Over the last 7 days, the posts I've put up have had exactly 100 views, which is not a great number, all right? But 100. But when I go and look at what they call, channel analytics, it says that I've had 176 views. Well, where are those 76 views? How have 76 people looked at my channel but not viewed anything? How does that make any sense? I've got 204 subscribers, which I'm actually pretty happy about. That's a nice number. Why was the last podcast viewed 15 times if I've got 200 subscribers? These numbers aren't making a lot of sense. And then I'm getting something that is also very strange Upon Hope, at my blog, where I will put up a post, say, do we need any immigration? And then I'll get roughly about 10, 11, 12 people come to the site the exact same day that it goes live on YouTube, and they'll read the article. So I'll have sometimes more people reading the article than actually listening to it on YouTube. How do they access the video without triggering a view? I don't know. I have all these numbers, and I don't know where I am. It's actually providing me with less information, or more confusing information, than I would like. So basically, I guess this whole episode has been a rant. I'll probably only go for a few more minutes, but thank you for listening. And I have one person who regularly listens to the podcast on Podbean, and I'd like to say hello to that person. I think I know who it is, but I'm not 100% certain. It's good that at least every day someone is listening to something on Podbean. Once I was shown how Podbean works, it was incredibly simple. It's actually good to put stuff up there. But obviously, like the YouTube, I'd like more people accessing it. But I guess you can only have so much. As I said earlier in the episode, I've just had my the blog's just had its 8th birthday, and in the last the last year, I have had 50,000 people go to the blog and check it out. On YouTube, I've had over 11,000 people. So maybe I am being a little bit pessimistic, but I do wonder about the accuracy of some of these numbers that I'm getting. For example, I've had upon Hope, I've had huge numbers of people coming from Sweden. Now, occasionally I do get people from Sweden, and sometimes they're decent numbers. But the thing that's suspicious about these is, I'll get 200 or 400 people, and they'll all look in the same hour. No time out other during the day. They're just 200 or 400 people have come on, and I've had this issue with other countries. It tends to be it's one country for a while. At one stage it was Russia, another stage it was Bulgaria. It's always one particular country. They come on, they're really big numbers, and then they disappear. And were they real? Because when I look at the articles, there's no article that really sticks out. You would think that, hey, maybe, for some class maybe or something like that, someone had accessed an article and passed it around, but or told people to access it. But no, there's no evidence of that. So the internet is a mysterious place, but so is the world, and so is right-wing politics. Well, that's been my week. I've complained enough. I hope that next week I'll have David Hiscock back. Probably this will go up on the Tuesday instead of the Monday, because he can normally record on Mondays, and we'll have a lot to talk about. But thank you very much, and I will speak to you again next week. Bye bye.